My neighbor demanded I move my fence so her pool could expand. When I refused, she broke in and demolished my garden with a bulldozer. I ran out screaming, "You're destroying my family's memories!" She yelled back, "You shouldn't have said no to me." But as I recorded her laughing, something behind her caught my eye. I lived just outside Fort Worth, Texas, in a middle-class neighborhood where people mostly keep to themselves. The kind of place where you wave to your neighbors but don't really get involved in their lives unless something serious happens. And something serious did happen, more than once. I've lived in this house for 12 years with my wife, Maria, and our 2 boys. Maria's dad moved in with us after his wife died. He lived with us for 6 years before he passed. During that time, he practically lived in our backyard. The man loved gardening. He had these strong hands and a patient way about him. He taught my boys how to plant tomatoes, how to trim rose bushes, how to check the soil. Our garden wasn't just a hobby. It became part of our family's rhythm. After he passed, we kept it the same. Every bush, every tool, every cracked stone path stayed where it was. Maria used to say she could still feel her dad there when she walked barefoot on the garden path. It meant something to all of us. Then Kendra moved in next door. She bought the house after the previous owners died in a car accident. Their adult kids didn't want it, so it was sold fast. Kendra looked like someone from a reality show. Bleached blonde hair, fake tan, always wearing workout gear but never actually seen working out. She showed up with a real estate agent and an expensive car. First time we met, she said she ran an event business and needed the backyard to host clients. That raised some flags, but I just nodded and went back inside. For a few weeks, she was polite. Brought over banana bread, complimented our garden. But it felt forced. Like she was only doing it because she wanted something. Then one Saturday, she knocked on our door. She was all smiles when she said, "Hey, I've been looking at expanding my pool area. The fence line between our properties is just a little off. Yours comes about a foot into where the survey says the line actually is. Would you mind moving your fence over?" "Just 1 foot." I just stared at her. "1 foot?" I repeated. "Yeah," she said. "It would make a huge difference. I could fit in a hot tub." I was trying to stay calm, but my throat tightened. "That area you're pointing at, that's part of my garden. My father-in-law built that with his hands. I'm not moving anything." She blinked a few times and her smile faded, just for a second. Then she chuckled like I was being cute. "Well, okay," she said. "But just so you know, it's technically on my property. I'm trying to be nice about it." I didn't say another word. I shut the door. Things got weird after that. First it was little things. One of our rose bushes got ripped up overnight. I blamed an animal. Then I found footprints right near the tulip bed. Deep ones, like someone had been stomping. A week later, I saw tire marks. Maria told me I was imagining it, but I knew better. Something was off. Then came the noise. Every weekend, it was music, loud voices, engines revving. People in and out of her place at all hours. One night I went over and asked her to turn it down. She stepped outside, laughed, and said, "This is my house now. Don't like it? Should have bought the whole block." I started recording everything, just in case. Then came the Saturday that changed everything. It was early morning. I was folding laundry and watching our kids play outside when I heard a deep rumble. Not like a car. Heavier. I stepped outside and froze. There was a bulldozer rolling straight through our fence. Through my garden. Through everything my father-in-law built. Kendra was in the driver's seat, wearing sunglasses and laughing. Maria ran out screaming. My youngest son cried. I bolted toward her, shouting at the top of my lungs. "You're destroying my family's memories." She looked down from the cab, smirking like it was all a joke. "You shouldn't have said no to me." I pulled out my phone and hit record. She laughed harder. Like this was all some game. But then something happened. Behind her, in her yard, I noticed something moving. At first, I thought it was just one of her party guests. But it wasn't. It was a man. Standing next to her shed. He was wearing blue scrubs. His arms were behind his back. I zoomed in and my stomach flipped. He was handcuffed to a metal pole. I blinked, thinking I must be seeing wrong. But the camera caught it. He looked scared. Disoriented. He kept glancing toward the bulldozer. I backed away and kept the camera pointed steady. Kendra finally cut the engine and climbed down, stomping toward me. "Delete the video," she said, low and threatening. "Now." I stared at her. "Who is that man in your yard?" Her whole face changed. The fake smile vanished. Her voice dropped. "You don't know what you saw. And if you send that video anywhere, I'll make sure the cops see the footage of you trespassing. Your fence is illegal. You threatened me. Don't push it." That's when I realized something deeper was going on. I went back inside and called my cousin Tommy. He's a PI, used to be a deputy. I sent him the video. He didn't even hesitate. "Do not go back out there. Let me look into her." Within 48 hours, Tommy called me back with a tone in his voice I'd never heard before. "You need to listen carefully," he said. "Her name's not Kendra. It's Melody Parker. Changed it 5 years ago after a fraud case in Arizona. She's not licensed to run any business here. There are sealed court records on her from a domestic abuse case. And that house she bought? She paid for it in cash. We started putting things together. I installed better cameras. I recorded every weird thing, strange men coming in late at night, the same black SUV pulling up every other day, deliveries of large metal crates. Then one night, the man in scrubs disappeared. I reviewed the footage. It showed him being walked into that same black SUV by 2 large men. Still handcuffed. No one looked back. That night, I called the FBI. They didn't say much. But they told me to keep the footage and stay away from her. I didn't know what was going to happen next, but I knew this wasn't just a neighbor dispute anymore. This was bigger. Much bigger. After I contacted the FBI, things moved in silence. I didn't hear back right away, but I knew they got the footage. Tommy said that if they were serious, they wouldn't say much. He told me to be patient. That was hard to do with Kendra, Melody, still next door like nothing happened. 2 days after I made the report, my front tires were slashed. All 4. Maria swore she saw someone run down the street around 2 a.m. but didn't get a look. I checked the security footage. Camera wires had been cut. I didn't tell the boys. They were already having trouble sleeping. My youngest started asking if we were safe. That broke me. I called the local police again and gave them everything. Video, photos, incident timeline. The officer looked tired and gave me the same line. "It's a civil matter unless someone's hurt." That same day, Kendra stood in her driveway with a glass of wine, waving at me like she didn't bulldoze half our backyard 2 weeks earlier. That's when I decided to go a step further. I used Tommy's help to get in touch with a local news reporter. I didn't give them my name, just the footage. The bulldozer. The man in cuffs. Everything. I told them if they wanted a real story, they should start digging. I thought they'd take weeks. But they called me that night. The reporter, Sam, was serious. She said, "I don't know what you're sitting on, but this woman's name pops up in more than one state. I just checked Nevada, Arizona, and Florida. There are missing person reports connected to addresses she's lived at." I felt cold all over. Then Sam said something that stopped my heart. "One of the men who disappeared in Arizona. He was a home health nurse. Just like the man in scrubs in your video." It all started clicking. Her event business. The late-night visitors, the crates, the fake name, the bulldozer distraction, it was a cover. She wasn't just a bad neighbor. She was dangerous. But things didn't get easier. In fact, they got worse. That week, Maria got followed on her way home from work. A black SUV stayed behind her for 6 miles. She pulled into a grocery store parking lot and waited. The SUV kept driving. The next day, our trash can was full of shredded papers, not ours. Bank documents, burner phone receipts, pages of names and numbers we didn't recognize. It was like someone was trying to scare us. Or send a message, stay out of this. But it was too late. The reporter's story hit the news 3 days later. She blurred our faces but showed the video of Kendra on the bulldozer, the garden being destroyed, and a man handcuffed in the backyard. The headline read, "Suburban Nightmare. Woman linked to multiple fraud cases caught with man chained in backyard." The story blew up. And that's when the real fallout started. People in our neighborhood started whispering. Some stopped talking to me. Others brought over casseroles like we were grieving. But the worst came 2 nights later. Someone tried to break into our house. It was 3:11 a.m. My oldest son heard the door handle rattling. I grabbed my bat and ran downstairs. I saw the shadow through the glass, tall, hooded patient. He just stood there. Then he tapped on the window. I shouted. Maria called 911. The guy ran off before the cops got there. This time, the police took it seriously. We gave them footage. A detective came by, took statements. I told him everything. He didn't say much, but he didn't dismiss me like before. Tommy said it was time for us to leave the house. Just for a while. We packed bags and went to stay with Maria's sister in Denton. I left lights on, cameras running, and neighbors watching. Or at least the ones who still talked to us. Then, 4 days later, the FBI finally called me back. They wanted to meet. The FBI agent's name was Doyle. Mid-40s, serious face, said only what he needed to. We met at a federal office building in Dallas, nothing flashy. Maria stayed in the car with the kids while I went in. He didn't waste time. He pulled out a manila folder and slid it across the table. Inside were photos of Kendra, Melody, at different locations. Different hair colors, different states. In one, she was holding a clipboard and standing next to a van that said, Care Reach Home Services. In another, she was at a dinner table with an elderly man who, according to Doyle, was now missing. She's been on our radar, he said. But we've never caught her this deep in the act. Until now. I asked. So what is she? Some kind of scam artist? He nodded. At best. At worst? A trafficker. Of what kind, we're still figuring out. He showed me a still frame from one of my videos, The Man in Scrubs. His name was Jeremy Easton. He was a registered nurse in Arizona, reported missing by his sister 4 months ago. No signs of him since, until my camera caught him in Kendra's backyard. Doyle said the black SUV that picked him up was registered under a shell company connected to another woman who used to work with Melody years ago, also missing now. Whatever she's involved in, Doyle said, it's organized. And dangerous. You need to understand something. You and your family are on her radar now. I told him about the break-in attempt. The shredded papers. Maria getting followed. He just nodded again and said, that's how people like her operate. Pressure. Fear. Distraction. I asked what he needed from me. He said, stay quiet. Keep your cameras up. We're moving, but it has to be slow. If we spook her, she'll disappear again. I didn't like it, but I agreed. We went back home a few days later. Our house felt different. Like it wasn't really ours anymore. My boys didn't want to sleep in their rooms. Maria kept the hallway light on. I slept with a bat under the bed. And Kendra? She acted like nothing happened. Smiling. Jogging in the mornings. Hosting events at night. I could hear music through the walls. But I noticed something new. One day, I saw her walking behind her house near the shed. She had a shovel. She was digging, fast, like she was in a rush. I hit record. She was burying something. Tommy said. If she's nervous, that's a good sign. It means she knows someone's watching. 2 nights later, a fire broke out. Not at her house. Ours. Someone lit a gasoline-soaked rag and shoved it through our side garage door. The flames were caught early by a neighbor out walking her dog. The damage wasn't huge, but it was enough to scare the hell out of us. We had no proof. But I knew. We all knew. I sent everything to Doyle. He told me to hang on. And then, out of nowhere, Kendra vanished. The bulldozer was still parked behind her house. Lights were on. Mail stacked up. But no sign of her. A week passed. Then 2. No SUV. No parties. No loud music. The house sat still. I started to hope maybe she'd fled again. Maybe she knew she was caught and ran like before. But then Maria found something behind our shed. A black bag. Tucked under a loose board. Inside it? A phone. It wasn't ours. It wasn't hers. And it was still on. Maria called for me, holding the phone like it was made of fire. I grabbed gloves and took it from her. It was cheap, a burner. Prepaid. Screen cracked in the corner. I checked the photos first. There were dozens of them. Pictures of people in hospital beds. Some looked alive. Some didn't. Selfies of Kendra with different hair and different IDs. A shot of the man, Jeremy, handcuffed in the backyard, same as in my video. But these were close-up, not from a distance. And in one of them, he had a bruise on his cheek. One folder on the phone was labeled Deeds. Inside it were scanned documents, property records, notaries, fake wills. One of them was for a house 3 blocks away that burned down last year. Owner was an elderly widow. She died in that fire. Everyone said it was an accident. Then I found a video. It was shaky, like someone filming while hiding. It showed Kendra screaming at someone. You couldn't see who. She was saying, "You're going to sign it, or I swear to God I'll bury you under this place." The last file was a voice memo. He knows. The neighbor. He has footage. If this doesn't work, I'll torch it all. I copied everything to a secure drive, and Maria and I drove straight to the FBI field office. We met with Doyle. This time he didn't play it cool. He stared at that phone like it was a bomb. "Where'd you get this?" "Behind our shed," I said. "She must have stashed it when she knew you were close." He stood up and left the room. 10 minutes later, 4 agents walked past me. One turned to me and said, "We've got what we need." That night, everything happened at once. A team raided Kendra's house. They kicked the door in. Neighbors came outside, stunned. I watched from across the street. Maria held my hand so tight I lost feeling. They didn't find her. But they found files. Computers. Paperwork. A second phone. An empty dog crate. Large enough for a person. And blood on the floor of the shed. Not enough to confirm anything, but enough to scare us all over again. They found another burner phone with messages about the Texas guy and burning the tapes. Then came the big break. 2 days later, Jeremy, the nurse, was found in a rundown motel outside of Waco. Tied up. Alive. He told agents that she drugged him, moved him from house to house, kept him locked up. He was used to sign over care documents for fake patients. She had him helping run scams on people with dementia, until he fought back. That's when she chained him in the backyard. His statement was enough. An arrest warrant was issued for Melody Parker, aka Kendra Ray Finch, aka Missy Lane, another alias found in her papers. They traced her burner phone to a small airport near the Texas-Oklahoma border. She'd bought a one-way ticket under a fake name. But she never got on the plane. She rented a car instead. Headed north. That's when Tommy stepped in again. He reached out to a friend in Missouri law enforcement. Sent the photos. The aliases. The burner phone info. 3 days later she was caught. At a truck stop just outside Columbia, Missouri. Her car was filled with wigs, IDs, and $14,000 in cash. She was trying to hitch a ride west. When the cops pulled her out, she screamed, "You don't understand. He ruined everything. That garden freak ruined it." The cops thought she was on something. She wasn't. Just evil. She's now facing federal charges: fraud, kidnapping, unlawful imprisonment, arson, impersonating medical personnel, and assault. The FBI said it could take years just to unravel the full list. Our neighborhood never looked the same after that. A few people still looked at me like I brought trouble. But most came by to thank me. One man even said, "If it weren't for you, who knows how many more she would have hurt." But it came at a cost. Our garden was gone. My youngest son still has nightmares. Maria keeps a bat under her side of the bed now. And me? I learned that staying quiet sometimes invites the worst. So I didn't stay quiet. After her arrest, I sent every piece of footage to the same news reporter. She ran the full story this time, with my name. He fought a neighbor over a fence, and uncovered a multi-state criminal network. It went viral. A nonprofit offered to help us rebuild the garden in honor of Maria's father. They came with soil, tools, and even installed raised beds. My boys helped plant the first row of tomatoes again. I still walk the garden path every morning. And now, when I hear laughter or noise from a backyard, I don't ignore it. I look. I pay attention. Because I've learned the hard way that monsters don't hide in shadows anymore. Sometimes they move in next door with banana bread and a smile. And if they try to bulldoze your life, you don't just stand there. You record. You fight back. And you make damn sure they never get the chance to do it again.